Every day, you essentially pay your dues by doing the harder thing when it's the right thing to do. Like, that is how I'm going to be happy. So if I make money, I impress people, I show off how smart I am, I have a smoking hot girlfriend, and I have a job that everyone praises me for. And I was following that path, right? Very much in my early 20s when I came out of school. And when I say it led me to like what I thought was going to be the happiness, and I got the opposite, which was darkness, which was like, I'm depressed and I'm anxious because I'm trying to impress everybody. And that bled into my coaching style, which is, we need to get these vaults to flip. We need to show off to these people at meets. I need to have the X amount of girls make nationals. I need to make this amount of money and have people at the bar talk about me and make me feel good about myself. I was addicted to everybody else's validation because I was deeply insecure about myself. And so, like, for me personally, it was realizing that I was becoming something that was toxic to the culture, right? My actions as a coach when I was 22, 23, 24, 25, my coworkers hated me, bro. Like, by the end of working for a couple of weeks together, I wasn't letting them give their 2 cents on lesson plans. I was stomping around the gym like I was hot shit because I had a doctoral degree, like all this kind of stuff. And people slowly just didn't want to work with me. And the girls that I was coaching slowly started to be like, bro, like, I don't care who you are. Like, you're not fun to be around. So that was deeply painful for me, right? Because I came from a place where my coach was very much my superhero, and I really looked up to him and I really wanted him to be positive. And I wanted to have that too. I wanted to be a positive influence on, the girls that I was coaching. I wanted to help them reach their goals. I thought I was this altruistic, doing the right thing kind of guy. And all I was an asshole. Right? I was letting my own personal life and my insecurities bleed into my coaching style, which was, I need you to perform well so I feel better about myself. I'm living vicariously through you because my own personal life is in shambles, right? And I need to figure out my own garbage. And so that was really painful for me, which was the people closest to me started to be, dude, you have an ego and we don't want to be around you and you're frustrating to deal with. And it's hard for us to talk to you because you're constantly worried about what people think about you. And so that was just a really important turning point in my career. I was like 25, maybe like 24, 25, 26. And it was this combination of accountability, of realizing that, it's me, I'm the problem here, is that I need to wake up and realize that I'm dragging my personal life into coaching and that's causing everyone to feel like they need to live up to some ridiculous standard. And then I just was extremely like, just the expectations I had of myself and others were just relentlessly unrealistic. Right.
Slowly people are understanding you are not the person as the coach that's getting a medal. You can go to worlds, you can stand there next to the gymnast. Jamie and I come from tumbling where you literally, stand 50 centimeters from the gymnast performing their skill. Like, you didn't get a medal. You helped someone get a medal. They chose to go to sleep. They chose to wake up. They chose to eat this food. They chose to listen to you. They took your advice. Absolutely, you are a very helpful person, but it's not your medal. And I think what you said about keeping secrets is a part of it, where people feel like the moment no secrets are kept anymore, which is something Jamie and I are very into, no secrets, all technique is out there, all physiological knowledge is out there, all psychological knowledge is out there, then you can never claim that this medal is yours anymore. You can just say, well, I was just a tube from the knowledge source into the gymnast. And that, for some people, is not satisfactory anymore because, their ego is not being satisfied.
Yeah. Filled.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Filled. Yeah. It's just.
And I believe in this, not to cut you off, but I think my mindset shifted so much when I was a younger coach. It used to be about the me show and what I'm getting out of this. But I view this now as coaching is a joint partnership towards a common goal. That's how I view it. Right. So like, you both have a goal, is that you love gymnastics and you want to see someone's human potential reached and you want to see them be happy and healthy. Right. Whether that is literally zero competing ever and you just want to have a good experience with gymnastics and do recreation for 18 years and then do adult gymnastics for the rest of your life. Or that is, no, I want to go in the US, right? Go like the junior developmental elite route and then go to international competition and get a gold medal in Paris. Like, literally the two extremes of those I see are still common partnerships towards a goal. So like, if you're waiting for that gold medal to make you happy, if you're waiting for that level 10 scholarship national team to make you happy, if you're waiting for $1 billion in your paycheck to buy a fancy house and a fancy car to do that kind of stuff, I am telling you now, you're only going to be met with darkness on the other side if that's the only thing that you base your happiness and your self-esteem on. And I think that's really dangerous. And I see that. I saw that in myself as a younger coach, and I see that in many other people, which is I am using gymnastics or the athlete's performance or this score or this placement or this team to make me happy or to give me fulfillment or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with being passionate about coaching. But in my mind, the people who are able to base the people who never depend on anyone or anything for their self esteem or their happiness or their motivation can enter the gymnastics arena without needing anything, and they can give a lot more. You know what I mean? That's what I noticed for me is that when I fixed my own shit and I figured out what makes me happy outside of gymnastics, how I can have my own self esteem stores, and what I can do to motivate myself just to be happy and healthy and enjoy my hobbies. When I go to the gym, I don't need anything from the girls. I don't need them to do well. I don't need them to perform well. I want them to be respectful, and I want them to work hard, and I want them to have like an expectation that this is our cultural guideline to be fair to everybody and work hard. That's why we're here. But if someone falls in a bar dismount at the nationals, I'm not going to throw a chair and flip out and get upset because my self-esteem is not attached to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I have other ways to be happy and to be healthy. It took me a lot of
absolutely.
work of self-reflection and therapy and journaling to get through that and get on the other side. But that's what I think is really meaningful. And I think that's what's really cool is reversal is when you go on to the point where you can just give as much as you can and you're just there to work hard. You can get through the trenches, man. You can get through the hard workouts. You can get through the tough times, the emotions, because you're able to really see people who they are, but you can self-reflect and be like, oh, I actually don't know how to teach your Chanko folds. I need help with that. Like, oh, I actually don't know this thing about nutrition and strength conditioning. Can I find someone to help me? And you're humble enough to say, like, okay, what can I do to maximize the outcome and get help? Not I know everything and how dare you talk to me like that and I know all the drills and blah blah blah. Like that's insecurity, bro. That's insecurity. Competing,
Mm.
actually coaching meets was my least favorite part of gymnastics because I thought that what I experienced sometimes when you go to meets, it brings out the worst in people. You're yelling at judges, you're worried about scores, you're running around. I'm like, bro, fuck this. This sucks. This is not what I want to be
Absolutely.
here. I want to be here
Absolutely.
because this girl worked her butt off for 6 months and she's trying to show off that she's terrified and she's standing here in front of 50 people and she's still going to do it. Like in teaching that fear inoculation or that microdosing of discomfort, but I got through it. That is one of the most important life skills ever. Like, what do you think is going to happen when they interview for a job or they go out and they do something else they're terrified of, right? Like, I firmly believe that gymnastics, because of the way it's engineered, gives people skill sets that they can use to do really hard stuff down the road, right? Like I think some of the people I've coached, and it's not because of me, it's because of the sport, they've gone on to get PhDs in cellular biology and do cancer research. They've gotten, like they've wanted to
Mm.
become open their school of gymnastics and influence a bunch of people in their community, right? Like that's cool, man. Like the most meaningful things in life are unbelievably hard and unbelievably full of discomfort. And gymnastics is a vessel to teach that in a healthy way, which is conditioning sucks, but I got to do it because I have these goals, right? Or going to practice 15 to 20 hours per week is not my favorite thing, but I'm happy when I reward myself with my hard work at the end because that gives me self-esteem. That's why I
Definitely.
coach. That's why I'm involved in gymnastics. That's why I work so hard. So for me, being able to step back and reflect on that, and like, oh, that's actually why I'm involved in gymnastics. That's what I want for myself. That is where I was able to change my perspective on like, okay, why am I in gymnastics? Why am I still coaching? Why do I spend 25 hours per week doing research now, even in 2023? Because that's what I care about. I
And I
care
think
about.
something I talk a lot about with my gymnast right now is, so I think everyone has a fantasy. When you look into psychology, you just make up your own story, right? And you live that story forever. And I think some people, their fantasy is a single day,
Mm,
the day where I'm super shredded, the day where I got the girl, the day or
mm,
the boy, the day,
mhm,
the day where I have the car, the day where I get whatever it is. And I think that day is always the worst day in the world. And I think if your fantasy is different, your fantasy is a lifestyle. My
mm,
fantasy is I wake up every day, I grind. This is my definition of a grind, whatever, but I just grind.
mhm.
That is sustainable and that is also healthy. Whether it is, people like David Goggins, which is like, I'm sure you're familiar with him. It's just
Yep.
like, I wake up and I'm trying to be the baddest motherfucker on planet Earth.
Mhm,
That's what he wants. He's not trying to win the race. He's trying to win the fantasy, which is a long-term game forever.
mm,
I think that's a shift the gymnastics needs to take as a whole. Just we need to stop looking at Paris. It's gymnastics. It's not 2024. It's that this kid is going to live like until they're 90 minimum with
mm,
like modern medicine. What like What the
Mm.
hell are you talking about? Like, oh, let's, we got to get this skill by this competition. No, it's just, I think that's just the wrong way to look at it. You don't need to go exactly that route. You just need to stay healthy for a long amount of time. That will make you a functioning adult, which is, I think, at this society, the most important thing in the world, right?
So it comes from a consensus statement of a lot of different people coming together to figure out what can we do to reduce the risk of burnout and overuse injury and, people quitting sports because they get banged up. And that comes from one of those papers that essentially outline that they recommend that I think it's up to the age of 14 that, or maybe it's 12, I could be wrong here, maybe it's 12, that an athlete shouldn't train more hours per week than their age because it starts to become a very repetitive sport specific injury pattern of baseball and throwing or soccer and running injuries or gymnastics and jumping and landing injuries. And so that's where it comes from a medical point of view and from a technical point of view. Now,
Mhm.
with that said, I think what you brought up is really important, which is people always ask me, how many hours should my 10-year-old train? She's level 8, she wants to blah blah blah. And I can't give a good answer because I've met some gyms that do 20 hours per week flawlessly. They do a wonderful balance of basics, foundational preparation, strength and conditioning, prehab, skill work, routine work, and they have successful, very competitive level 10 gymnasts on a national stage with 20 hours per week and maybe a couple hours outside with physio or strength and conditioning and stuff. I've met other places that have 15 hours per week and they destroy the kids. They do
Yeah.
all skill work, all hard landings, all repetitions, very minimal physical preparation, strength, flexibility, prehab, dance, choreography, basics, all that kind of stuff. So I've seen 15 to go way too hard, way too aggressive, and I've seen 20, 25, 30 treated phenomenally well. And so I
Okay.
think that's where I think it's both here. One is I think as a whole, the culture still is really not respectful or understanding or open to the research that says that year-round training is significantly correlated to increased injury risk and burnout risk in youth sports, which means that you're doing one sport all year round. It also is not open to the idea that early specialization is really not the best for someone's long-term performance and their long-term health, which means you specialize in one sport and the research is before 14. But in gymnastics, and in one of our studies, the average mean age of specialization in gymnastics was 8, with most people at 6.
Yeah.
They picked one sport only from 6 years old. And so the research around year-round training, 0 off seasons, just keep going, early specialization is really, really not supportive of long-term performance and long-term health. And so what that means, along with the lack of evidence-based strength and conditioning with weight training at a young age, those 3 things together are probably 3 of our biggest tools that we have to keep kids in gymnastics for longer and keep them healthier at a longevity point of view. So with those things in mind, that's where the conversation around training hours comes up, because the sport as a whole still is asking 10 to 14-year-olds to do insanely high training loads and skill volume and compete and stuff like that, with the hope of just, the myth propagates that you're going to miss your shot if you're not where you need to be by 12 or 14 to get this scholarship or make this team. Meanwhile, you have